Hello, my friends. I'm back after being gone for over 2 years from this channel. I'm back. I'm Brenda Carey, as you know me, and in the past, I don't even know how long now it's been, year, I guess, I've been going by B instead of Brenda because, well, hey, it's my initial. I can use it, and it became meaningful to me as I spent a lot more time meditating, doing my yoga. Um, just felt like the thing that I was trying to achieve is to learn how to just be. So it just seemed fitting. I know a lot of yogis, yoga instructors that I know take on Sanskrit names when they hit a certain point in their life where they feel like they've made a transition, they've had some realizations, they want to mark that time. So that's the same sort of thing for me. So there's the reason why, if you've noticed me on Facebook or anywhere else, I think it's on Instagram too, that I am B Carey, and they made me do B like the insect, BEE. They wouldn't let me do an initial on Facebook, so I ended up as B, which I don't mind at all because I love bees, and I've always felt a connection with them, so that's cool. So anyway, that's one thing that I wanted to share with you, but the main reason why I'm making this video today is to let you know that I have 2 cookbooks coming out, or they're actually out, not coming out, just uploaded to Amazon. 2 cookbooks. Last we talked 2 years ago, I produced a magazine, Vegan Health and Fitness Magazine. I stopped producing it in 2020 because things are just too crazy. The fact that my mother passed away, my dog passed away, California was on fire, there was this, lockdowns. It was just too much. So took a step back there, much needed, and spent some time in nature, did some traveling, and decided that my passion, the thing that I've been feeling drawn towards, is food and the culinary arts of making food delicious and beautiful. And of course, from my perspective, that's food that comes from nature, food that is the least processed, food that is plant-based, food that is vegan, food that is good for the planet, good for our health, good for other people and animals that we share this planet with. And so anyway, I went through a culinary training from Chef Matthew Kinney, who I really respect. I have like 7 of his cookbooks here, and I really loved his restaurant, Pure Food and Wine, in New York City, and the way that he brought raw food into another level of gourmet beauty and coolness that it didn't have prior to that, and being inspired by that. Also, when in 2021, I had the honor of, when I went to Costa Rica, of meeting with Dr. Doug Graham, who also, Matthew Kinney and Dr. Doug Graham were both featured in the pages of Vegan Health and Fitness Magazine, and so I was, familiar with them both prior, but they both became larger influences on me here recently as I was going through this journey of feeling drawn into the culinary arts. And Dr. Doug Graham is the author of the book 80-10-10, and his influence was about eating food in its natural state and not being too fussy with it, and food that's simpler is actually often better. And I do agree with him that the flavor of a peach right off of a tree, of a properly ripened tomato right off of the vine, there's nothing that can beat that. There's nothing that you can or should do to certain foods that are so amazing in their natural state. And so that's what has inspired me to want to think of food more in that way. And I think there's a lot of chefs around the world who are thinking more in those terms of bringing the vegetable to the center of the plate, as opposed to thinking of it as a side dish, and looking at what the vegetable has to offer in its natural state without trying to, cover it up with sauces and change it and combine it with things that completely overpower it. Instead, focus on the quality of the fruit or the vegetable. Organic, I believe, is, the way. It's not just for health and the environment, but also flavor and so many things about what happens with conventional produce. A lot of it is genetically modified, which changes the flavor, changes so many things. They're trying to get a longer shelf life. They don't care anything about flavor. I care about what my tomato tastes like. I don't want it to taste like a fish. So anyway, stay away from the genetically modified foods, and an easy way to do that is to always choose organic. And I know organic isn't perfect, but it's the best that we have thus far, and conventional is really horrible when you see what it's doing to our environment, our air, our water, our soil being completely degraded. So it's very important that we choose foods that are grown properly, that we have a greater love of nature, philosophy that goes into our whole aspect of eating. And so that's what I'm trying to bring forth in my first cookbook, Back to Nature, Recipes for Living Well. And the reason why I named it that, of course, is because there is a philosophy, goes back hundreds of years, of getting back to nature. And it's interesting that every time we have what we call progress of industry, there are always people who, like me, feel stifled and uncomfortable by what we see happening to the planet, to the environment, to the trees, to the animals around us, to the water. And, we would like to get back to how things were in their natural state. Anyway, that's what this cookbook is about, getting back to food in its natural state. It's about preparing foods with no extracts, no colorings, no fractionated foods, only whole foods. That means no oil. That's a fractionated food. It's something that has to be extracted, and it's just the fat of a product, and it's very damaging to the vascular system. So anyway, there's so many reasons why nature's wisdom is proven over and over again whenever we do the scientific studies. But I think that if we just have a philosophy of following the wisdom of nature and let our hearts lead us that way, we don't even need the science. So that's what that book is about, even though there are plenty of scientific articles in there backing up all of the things that we talk about. It is more of a philosophy, I believe, that comes from the heart, and it's about respect and a reverence for nature. And thus, the recipes inside are about not heating food very much, not not covering up flavors, but instead enhancing natural flavors. And so, and then it's also about finding ways to use what nature has provided in ways that are more eco-friendly than what has been done in the past. For instance, there's a whole bunch of recipes on making vegan seafood out of mushrooms. So we have a scallops recipe, which is amazing. It's just king trumpet or king oyster mushroom, and you just chop it and you put this miso glaze on the top. It's amazing. We have faux fried things. We have a fake shrimp thing that we make that's you just use a little cookie cutter on the mushroom, and we have carrot juice, and then we put that little mushroom shrimp into a pho broth with a zoodle noodle. And the zoodles are also prepared in maybe a way a little bit different than what you're used to. We warm them up, and we don't cook things to death to kill all the nutrients within them. We warm them to no higher than 120 degrees so that we can have the digestive enzymes that are provided within each food. Anyway, so we're trying to do everything in the healthiest way possible, respecting the wisdom of nature as we go along. And in turn, we're getting this amazing karmic blessing that the food just tastes so good because we're doing it in the right way. So that's the lesson in this cookbook. And there are about 80 recipes. And we've got cheeses, we've got gluten-free crackers, we've got all kinds of salads. I'm a salad nut. So there's all different kinds of salads with all kinds of unusual combinations that you might not have tried before. That like one I call a cucumber melon avocado mouth explosion, because that salad, I could, like I say in the book, I could literally eat that every day the rest of my life and be happy. It's so delicious. There's eggy salad, smoothies. Again, I try to do something different than what you have seen previously to be a little bit different. I have a Martian martini. I have an apple pie smoothie that can be enjoyed warm in the winter time. I have a PBJ. I have a smoothie that thinks it's a chocolate milkshake. We have smoothie bowls, which can be eaten for like a breakfast or for a snack or for a dessert, because they're made with frozen bananas, which is also known as nice cream. It tastes like ice cream. It's just amazing and super easy to make, and delicious and really good for you. And no need for sugar, no need for anything harmful whatsoever, and you get all the joy and satisfaction and fulfillment. We've got a couple burger recipes that are going to blow you away. We've got an all-American burger that's kind of spicy and cheesy. We've got a quinoa burger that's a little bit crunchy, and there's all kinds of things you can do with those. We've got jackfruit, mango barbecue tacos that have a nice green taco shell. I'm sorry, I'm tired. It's been a lot of days uploading these books. And so that's a very colorful recipe that's really pretty and just really flavorful. Lots of yummy sweets. I don't know, 10 or 15 sweet items. We've got chocolate chip cookie dough. We've got lemon sweetie pies. We've got sweet potato donuts and cookies. We've got cinnamon carob cheesecake. So just, all different kinds of fun things. So that's the first book. The second book came because the first book was getting to be like almost 300 recipes. It was over 300. It was getting crazy. And so I decided to pull out. So there were so many recipes that I was developing. They were going to be like special occasion, knock your socks off, just like, really beautiful presentation recipes that might take a little bit more time using a dehydrator. Maybe you might put something in the dehydrator for 12 hours. You're not standing there next to the dehydrator for 12 hours, but still it's in there. And so it gives you the feeling of taking 2 days to make something sometimes. And so those are things that you might think of as you might only do them a couple times a year. I don't know if you enjoy the taste like I do. Some of these things I'm making quite often. I'm surprising myself. I don't mind, because it's really, like I said, once you've done it and you understand what's required to put the thing together, you put it in the dehydrator, you forget about it, you come back the next day, you have this amazing thing. Sometimes you have like an amazing warm. I've got blueberry muffins that, I have cinnamon rolls. I've got, stuff like that. And then there's a 12-layer apple spice cake. I'm making myself salivate. With beautiful apple flour on the top. So instead of using shortening and sugar to make flowers on the top of our cakes, we're using actual apples or pears, or we've got appetizers where we use zucchini rolls, or sliced really thin with little chive herby cheese in there, carrots sliced really thin and swirled around, and we have these really beautiful presentations that we're doing, and really punching that flavor with that cheese, and all natural. This is a nut cheese that you make yourself. It's got like 3 or 4 ingredients. I have the 1, 2, 3s of easy cheesy in the book that explains how easy it is to make vegan cheeses. But then after you do the 1, 2, 3 steps, then you can add whatever flavorings you want to take it in different directions. And if you want to make it more solid, I tell you how to do that. If you want to leave it as a spread, I tell you how to do that, how to shape it. We have, I can make this one cheddar cheese, and I put nuts on the outside of it because, of course, growing up in the 80s, I remember the Hickory Farms cheese logs from Christmas time. So we did something like that. But you can do dried chives on the outside of it. You can do all kinds of things. I give you lots of different options, olives and sun-dried tomatoes and all kinds of stuff. So anyway, and I have this one, and it's shaped very, almost like what I'm doing with my hands. It's a weird little pyramid thingy. Oh, we have a whole holiday meal that has a mushroom loaf. Of course, everything is SOS free. I should have said that up front. No oil, no salt, no sugar. Everything is gluten free, kosher, halal, nutritarian, the highest standards. So anyway, we have cookies that you might call them biscuits. You can leave them in the dehydrator until they get a nice crisp a snap to them. You can take them out a little earlier if you like them softer, like we Americans tend to do. Anyway, they're all colored beautifully and shaped beautifully to make a lovely presentation, and I tell you how to do that with berry juices and things like mint leaves and spinach, and we get some really amazing results. And caramel, nice cream pecan pie. We've got figgy pudding, which was a really fun one to make. I'm a fan of the British baking show, and even though it's not vegan, I'm constantly in my head as I'm watching it thinking about how to veganize it, not just veganize it, but make it healthy, and maybe even do it raw. And so this is what happened to me with the figgy pudding. Pudding to the Brits is not what we call pudding in the United States. What we call pudding, they would call custard, which we do have a Christmas custard, and we have custards that are pie fillings. But pudding to them is like a steamed cake. So that's perfect for if you're making a raw cake in the dehydrator, because you don't want it to be too dry and you don't want it to be mushy on the inside and dry on the outside. That's why we do a lot of our cakes with lots of thin layers if we're going to do it in the dehydrator. But with the figgy pudding, it was great because we wanted it to be moist because it's supposed to be a steamed cake, and it came out so amazing. It's like all the different dried fruits and the spices and the orange zest and flavors in that just knock your socks off. And so I don't know if you've ever had figgy pudding before. If you're an American, you probably haven't, but I recommend that recipe very highly. Everybody who I've had try it just loves it. We have a classic cherry pie that's made in the dehydrator. It's super simple, and it tastes like it's been baked. And, I tell you how to make the gel type cherry part that goes in the middle so that you have that jelly-like consistency on the inside, and then you also have some nice whole pieces of cherry too on top. And when we make this really beautiful decorative crust with the little leaves and things and vines on it, and you're gonna love it. It's so pretty. We have eggnog. We have a marshmallow root chai, which I love because marshmallow root has been forgotten about, and it is the ingredient that marshmallows were originally made out of, and it tastes wonderful. But somebody decided to cut a bunch of corners and make a cheap version of marshmallows and use gelatin and corn syrup and artificial flavorings, and that's what marshmallows are made of nowadays. But marshmallow root, still out there, is still wonderful, and it's a wonderful thickener, and it tastes like marshmallows. And so we utilize it in this recipe for this chai, and it's thick and it's frothy and it's like a latte, like gone crazy, and it's so good. Speaking of marshmallows, anyway, the s'mores, the marshmallows are made out of bananas and put in the dehydrator just long enough to get the right consistency. So that's, the things that you're going to do if you follow these recipes, you're going to surprise you, because when I was developing these recipes, I didn't see anybody else. Still haven't seen anybody else doing anything like this. And I was, surprised at what I pulled off. And so I had to share them with you. And so I just know you're going to have so much fun making these. Here we go. 2 cookbooks just uploaded to Amazon. They're available on Kindle as ebooks right now. I priced them at $4.99 to try to get sales going. Hopefully we can get a good amount of sales going, especially because it's Thanksgiving like 3 days from now, and the Christmas is right around the corner, and then after that's New Year, and everybody needs to, make these New Year's resolutions to get healthier in the new year. So there's 3 good reasons for these books to help you out, and I'm glad that they're here at this time so that they can. And I'm, like I said, I'm super excited because I had so much fun with them, and I think they're so great, and I think you're going to love them too. The paperback versions of the books, and then eventually there'll be a hardcover versions of the books, and I think that's going to be pretty cool because they are really beautiful. Every single recipe has a full color picture of the completed dish on the right side, and on the left side it has the instructions for how to make the recipe. And within the instructions for how to make the recipe, there are also small photos that demonstrate things about how to chop things and then what kind of consistency you're looking for in a puree or something like that. Everything is step by step, demonstrated, illustrated very clearly for you, but all of those photos ended up being expensive for printing. So what I'm leading up to is the paperback book is $39.99. Sorry about that, but I think it's for, what you're getting. It's a lot of recipes, and every single one of them is just a mind blower. So I did have recipes that I threw out because they didn't quite make the mark. Believe me, these are the best of the best. And after all the years that I've been doing this with the magazine and all the famous chefs that I've worked with, I know what I'm talking about when I tell you these are really something special. So anyway, I don't know how much the hardcover book is going to be, but like I said, I think that it's going to be really beautiful. It might be something that you want to have. Especially if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can download 3 books for free every month. If you choose these books, you get a good look at them on the Kindle. If you like them, then you might want to purchase the paper or hardback ones. And it's like I say, it's nice to set it up in the kitchen when you're working so that you have the recipe on one side and the picture on the other side. And then there's never a need to turn the page with messy fingers, because I made sure that the whole recipe is right there on that page for you so that you don't have to do that, because I hate having to do that. So I hope you enjoy, and if you have any questions, or if you want to make requests for me to make videos on making any of the recipes, I would be happy to do that. It's just a comment below and let me know which ones you're interested in. Thank you so much. One more thing I forgot to tell you guys about the holiday book. It's called Entertaining Au Naturel, and how that came to be was it had so many recipes in the Back to Nature book that were stupendous, amazing, special occasion recipes that they would fill their own book. So I did that, and I think there's like 50 some recipes, or maybe around 50. Anyway, and then I said, well, what am I going to call it? Entertaining Au Naturel. And I was laughing and saying, well, if I do that, I'm going to have to be naked on the cover. So I am naked on the cover, and so I just wanted to, don't be shocked, let you know about that, but also don't judge me on that, because I wasn't even really naked in that photo shoot, to be honest with you. Some of you who know me might know I'm a never nude, so of course I was wearing a turtleneck and overalls during that photo shoot, and I just used Photoshop and just, erased all that stuff out. So, it's a completely innocent, non-risque, non-sexy thing when you think about it. And just in case anybody still is a little uncomfortable with having the naked picture on the cover of the cookbook, like maybe my dad, I made another cover that is just a beautiful pear pie. And no nudity, just, well, naked pear, I guess you could say, but no naked human on the cover. So there is that second option. So if you go on Amazon and you look at the cookbooks, you might see the Entertaining Au Naturel. You might see 2 versions of it. It is the same cookbook. It's just 2 different covers, just because I wanted my dad to be able to have a cookbook that he could have and share with others, that he didn't have to be constantly apologizing for the naked daughter on the cover. So there you go. I hope you enjoy.